3.
David Eugene Hurley, Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania. At 1:30 a.m. on the morning of June 13th, 1992, 34-year-old David Hurley said goodbye to his wife of 9 years, Pam, and left home. He drove along Route 22 on Monroeville to pick up donuts before a weekend outing with his brother's Boy Scout troop. After leaving the donut shop, he was involved in a minor traffic accident, being sideswiped by another vehicle that came out of nowhere. The two pulled over along Route 22 in Wilkins Township. When David got out of his van to exchange insurance information, the other driver punched him for no apparent reason. He then shot him once in the shoulder, once in the lower chest, and once in the back as he tried to flee. David, seriously wounded, then drove the 2 miles back home when he called up to Pam. She didn't understand why he was home until he told her that he had been shot. She immediately came down and called 911. Paramedics soon arrived, and at 3:30 a.m. he told police and his wife what had happened to him. He was then transported via live flight to Presbyterian University Hospital in Pittsburgh. He appeared to be doing very well until he started having trouble breathing. In addition to the gunshot wounds, he was bleeding internally from a lacerated liver. At the hospital, he was taken into surgery 6:30 a.m. after going into an acute cardiac arrest. All police have now is a description of the suspect from David himself shortly before he died. David's killer is described as a young black male driving a gold or champagne coloured Honda Prelude, model year 1989 or 1990. He is believed to be local. David did not notice anything unusual about the assailant's appearance. He has never been identified. In 1995, police got a break when a crime lab determined a gun involved in another case matched the one used in David's murder. Because it had changed hands since then, that investigation led nowhere. Authorities stated that they have a suspect in the case that they believe is responsible, but that they do not have enough evidence to charge him. They need an unidentified woman who may have information in the case to come forward.
2.
Deputy Charlie Anderson was a 14-year-old veteran of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. He was a highly skilled driver who taught hundreds of officers how to handle themselves and their vehicles in dangerous situations. He was also close to his 2 young sons. At around midnight on January the 24th, 1987, Charlie, his wife Beth, and their 2 sons returned home from a visit to her parents. Beth, who was suffering from a back injury, waited in the car while Charlie went and took their older sons upstairs. A few moments later, Beth heard what sounded like a car backfiring. Concerned, she walked inside to see if everything was alright. At the top of the stairs, she found Charlie shot to death. She ran next door to the neighbour's house and called the police. Initially, investigators believed that the Anderson house was being burglarized and that Charlie had been shot when he interrupted the burglary. However, investigators noticed that the assailants had carefully moved items in the home, which would be uncommon in a normal burglary. The drawers were either pulled out partially or had only 1 or 2 items missing from them. This led investigators to believe that the burglary scene had been staged. Investigators also found that jewellery and other expensive items, which were in plain sight, had been left behind. This led them to believe that Charlie was killed by someone that he knew. His family also believed this. His sister Trish was at the scene that night, and she believed that he had a shocked expression on his face, as if he had been betrayed. Interestingly, the only fingerprints found in the home belonged to members of the family. This meant that either a family member was involved or the perpetrator wore gloves. Investigators received a possible break the next day when a call came into the Burbank Police Department. The caller claimed that he had information about Charlie's murder. The dispatcher contacted the lead investigator, who spoke with the caller. The caller claimed to know the identity of the killer. However, when he learned that the call was being recorded, he did not want to speak with them. The investigators gave the caller his phone number so they could speak on a line that was not being recorded. However, the caller never contacted the investigator and was never heard from again. On January the 31st, 1987, he was laid to rest Since then, lack of evidence has dragged the investigation to a standstill. The Burbank police guarantee confidentiality for anyone coming forward with information. Initially, investigators speculated that Charlie's murder may have been related to the murder of Carol Montecalvo. Her murder occurred just a few blocks away from Charlie, and she was apparently killed in a burglary gone wrong. However, her husband Dan was later convicted of her murder. It is unknown if he may be connected to Charlie's case.
1.
Jason Artis. 20-year-old Jason Artis had moved from Virginia, Los Angeles, California to go to college. In July of 1998, he brought his younger brother Stephen out for a visit. Before leaving, Jason decided to take his brother to Tijuana, Mexico to party. At around 9 p.m. on Saturday night, August the 1st, Jason, Stephen and Jason's friend Michael Justin arrived at Tijuana's main drag, Avienda Revolution. They went to several bars that night. Most of the places they went to offered all you can drink for less than $5. Jason was usually friendly and easygoing. However, he had a reputation for being a rowdy drinker. He began drinking tequila, not realizing that it was $6 a shot. When the bartender told him he owed $12, Jason became upset. Michael told him to just give him the money. He did, and they left the bar. At around 1 a.m, Jason and Steve left Michael at the bar and were walking back to their car when Jason accidentally bumped into a female police officer while in the crowded streets. Immediately, Jason was handcuffed and was only allowed to be let go if he gave them $40 and his gold watch. Jason refused to give his watch, but the officer decided to let them go in exchange for the money. Because he was drunk, Jason was told by Steve to stay put while he went looking for their car. But when Steve returned with the car, Jason was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, when Michael left the bar to look for Jason and Steve, he saw Jason in the back of a police car with 4 officers inside. When he found Steve, they talked to the police and the officers told them that if Jason had been picked up, he was probably in jail. However, Jason was not in jail. At 3:40 a.m, his badly beaten body was discovered alongside a road in Tijuana's rundown Zona Norte section, about 3 blocks from where he had last been seen. The American consulate told Jason's family that he had died as a result of a hit-and-run accident. However, his family believes that he was a victim of a brutal beating that was done by Mexican police, that it was covered up claiming to be a hit-and-run accident. His family received a copy of the autopsy report and had it translated into English. His family noted that he had injuries to his bodies that were inconsistent with an accident, including strange marks all along his body. Unsolved Mysteries asked 3 forensic pathologists to review the autopsy report. One of them agreed that the injuries were consistent with a hit and run. However, the other 2 felt the inconsistencies were puzzling. For instance, the Tijuana coroner stated that the car had hit Jason so hard in the chest that it ruptured his heart. Pathologist Jacob Turner noted that there were no injuries to his chest that would have been found if a car had caused his heart to be ruptured. Furthermore, Jason suffered from head wounds that were more consistent with being beaten with a blunt object. Jason's family, including his mother Rose Artis, aunts Tina Martin Smith, Eunice Wimborne and niece Shania Artis, are all still searching for the truth. It has always been speculated but never confirmed that the Mexican police officials may have had something to do with Jason's death. His family believe that he was beaten and then run over with a car to cover up the crime.